If you'd like to help support this channel, swing by zwadephoto.com. What's up, everybody? I'm ZWade, the ZWade, and ZWade Photo. And as promised, we're back so we can look at the sharpness and maybe see what we can derive from the color saturation of the greens. This isn't as exciting for color saturation, but, you know, we're going to take a look and see if we can draw any conclusions. This is a very boring subject, but we're just going to see what we can learn comparing all of the Z mount lenses that I have. That is the 14-24, the 28mm, the 40mm, the 24-70, the 50mm 1.2, the 105 f2.8 macro, and the 70-200. So here we are with the 14mm at 14mm. And let's zoom in here. Zoom into 200. That looks terrible zoomed into 200. As you can see, it is pretty sharp at 14. I knew this. 14mm is extremely wide, and this is not the sharpest. It is much better at 24. Of course, we're closer at that point, and different things factor into it. I'm rambling. I'm looking. The greens look pretty good. We're going to have more luck comparing the 24, the top end of this, to the 24 at the bottom end. Now this looks much nicer at 24mm. This is still the 14-24. It's very sharp. The greens look pretty good. That orange looks pretty good. Obviously, the saturation is gonna be the same. I mean, insanely sharp for a 14-24. I mean, am I right? This isn't a phenomenal lens. When I'm going back, it is a lot sharper. It'll look sharper to you than it does to me on my ridiculously large screen. But let's look at the actually, I want to look at the 20. I want to compare the 24s real quick. So that's 24 and 24. The 24-70 is sharper. I mean, that's one of Nikon's best lenses. I don't care what anybody says. It's oh wait, no, that's the 40. Oh, let's see, 24. Okay, here it is. Yeah, the 24-70 at 24 is sharper than the 14-24 at 24. But like I was saying, I mean, this is one of the best lenses Nikon has ever made. One of the best Nikon lenses I've ever shot. Zoom lenses did not used to be this sharp. They're absolutely wonderful. Let's compare the greens. To my eye, it's very subtle, but this does have a little bit nicer of a look. Maybe not necessarily in the saturation, but remember, we're also looking for something that just kind of maybe like has a particular look. And the 24-70 definitely has a look. I noticed it right out of the box. Okay, now let's look at the 28. It's not as sharp as the 24-70, but this lens is sub $300. This is an insane value. In an upcoming video, we're going to compare the black and white potential of these. So we're going to look at the intertonal details and the tonal range. This is such an insane deal for under $300. Look how sharp it is. Super cool. Love this lens. Let's look at the 40. The 40 has a bit of a warmer look to it, I'd say, than the 24-70 and the 14-24 and the 28. It's just got a tad bit more of a warmth to it, and it is sharper than the 28mm. Let's look at the 28 right up against the 14-24 at 24. Okay, so the 14-24 at 24 is sharper than the 28mm, which is a prime. But this is also a $2,000 lens versus a $300 lens. You would not notice the difference in sharpness in a print, and you may not even notice it looking at it on YouTube, but I notice it on my large screen. This large screen is likely the reason why I pixel peep so much these days. Okay, we're back to the 24 at 24, and we've kind of already looked at this. It does have its own kind of look to it, I would say, compared to, let's say, the 28 millimeter. the 28 at 28 because it's a prime, and the 24 at 24, 24 to 70 at 24. Yeah, it has its own look to it, and it's just wickedly sharp. Now let's look at the 24 to 70 at 70. I mean, it's just ridiculous. This is a zoom lens. What is happening to technology? It looks great. Wide open for this lens is f2.8, and all of these are shot at f2.8. And this is just wickedly good. Man, what a fantastic lens. Let's look at the 50mm f1.2 at 2.8. Wickedly sharp. This is probably Nikon's finest lens. The finest that I've ever shot. The 24 to 70 is, man, that's a fine lens too, but this 51.2 hits on a different level. It definitely has some warmth to it in this particular image. And by the way, all of these images were shot within like a couple of minutes. And so this is not the sun setting. This is truly just a different kind of tone that these lenses give. This is stupidly sharp. And it has just a beautiful look to it. Let's look at the difference in bokeh. This is kind of an unfair comparison because, yeah, one of them is just closer, so that's not a fair comparison. But we can see that this is just a sick lens. Good lord. Let's look at the 105. The 105 is also insanely sharp. I don't even know which one is. The 105 is a little bit sharper. This is also, by the way, at f3 because in order to get, like, I was trying to get kind of similar framing in distance as much as I could, and you know, you don't have control over aperture all the time with your macro lenses. At certain distances, once it focuses, it'll change the aperture for you. You can always go higher, but you can only go so low at certain distances. And so, I mean, this is the sharpest out of any of them, and it should be because it's a 105. Nikon makes wicked 105s, and it's a macro lens. People expect something very, very sharp. And this also, too, it just has a particular kind of look to it. It's a rather warm. The greens seem a little bit more saturated than natural, and that's cool. That's one of the beautiful things of this lens. That it's rewind. It's part of this lens's character. You know, it that's what this lens is. Stupidly sharp. Good lord. Now let's look at the 70 at 70. This definitely seems to have a particular kind of look to it. Again, we see the greens are a little more saturated than, say, the 51.2 or the 24 to 70 at 70. And we can look at this at 70. They're a little too far off to really get an idea of the greens totally, but this looks a little bit different. I think the color is just a little bit different. It's I don't even know if it's something that I care about or you care about. It's just something, looking at these side by side, you just notice things. Wickedly sharp. Again, the 70 to 200 is insanely sharp. It's not my favorite lens to use. I don't use it that much, but you cannot deny its quality. In this, obviously, we're zoomed in, so we can't get like a similar frame. But, I mean, stupid how sharp this is. And I would say, now that I'm looking at this lens does have a bit more warmth to it. And say I mean, these are so subtle. Like the 28mm f2.8 prime, it looks a little more neutral compared to this. This just looks a little bit more warm. I don't know if you can tell that, but on my color calibrated screen, it comes off a little bit warmer, which is cool. If you don't like that, that's really easy to change. You can just barely move your temp. As long as you're shooting in RAW, you know, you can give it whatever tone you want, but I like lenses for what they are. I don't like messing with my temperature that much. Insanely sharp. In the comments below, I want you to tell me what your favorite Nikon Z mount lens is. Which one do you think looks best comparing all of these side by side, even though there's some room for differences in the focal lengths and things like that in the framing. Let me know which one you think has its own look, or if you think none of them have their own look. I'm ZWade, the ZWade, and ZWade Photo, and I will catch you in the next one.